And so I can't even pronounce that shit right now because I'm not, my mind ain't over there. Mm-hmm. But the Curtis Act passed in 1898 targeted 5 civilized tribes, forcing them to accept allotments and register on the dog roll. Now, here's the key thing. It's saying to accept allotments. What does that mean?
To accept reservations, I think. Absolutely.
See, so they was moving to put $5 Indians on reservations using this system. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's say the 2 acts which came, scroll down, during the period of murky social context. See what that say?
Mm-hmm. Murky social context. These niggas be wearing some shit, man.
Right.
Now, not clear. I mean, it's not clear. It's not a clear,
right,
decisive, you know.
All right, now look. This is where the murky social context come in. After the Civil War, where white and so-called black men were intermarrying with Native American women, aimed to help the government keep track of real Indians, while accelerating efforts to assimilate Indian people into so-called white culture. Mm-hmm. Right? So this is what murkied the waters. The 1 drop of blood doctrine, the great melding pot. Everybody giving up a drop of blood, and then they all coming together to try to confuse the genetics. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, let's keep going. We ain't done. By 1865, African Americans and white Americans were moving into the Midwest, into the Indian and Oklahoma territories, all vying for some patch of land that they could call their own and live out their Jeffersonian view of independence. Mm-hmm. All right. Mm-hmm. Scroll down. Let's see what's read some more. Yes. He said the federal government poured a lot of effort and energy into the Dawes Commission, but at the same time, it was very hard for both Native and American governments to keep track of who was who. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, this is important when we get to the Trail of Tears.
Okay. Okay.
The Dawes Commission set up tents in Indian territory. They told us that we lived in teepees.
Yeah. Get the hell out of here with that shit. Go ahead.
Look, go back to Google for a minute. Okay. We're going to come back to this page, but we're going to go to Google and type in Huns tents. HUN' tents. And then go to images. Okay.
They look like these right here, though. They look like these right here, I know. Kind of like these.
Those modern tents.
Yeah, but they're like the old ones. Put
in ancient in front of it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Let me do it like that. So there you go, right here. Like this kind. Right here. Mm-hmm. The richer guys had like a more of a nice one though, but like the kings and shit. Mm-hmm. But it's the same thing as those.
We didn't live in tents, but I'm gonna show you that in a minute. But first, we're looking at these tents. Now, take out Hun and put in Mongol.
All right. All right, it's the Mongol. Let me say these in my that photo. Damn. Mm-hmm.
That one you clicked on have a Sri Yantra on the front.
Because I'm putting a book together called Young Elder and the Royal Haynes book. I'm going into more detail on it.
Hey, look, you know what's out cold? Motherfuckers be talking about, I remember a lot of stuff. All this shit come from Baba, Elijah Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali, and the government.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a good one right here. And the same people was building those igloos. Those igloos with the ice.
Yeah, but they also got teepees. Mm-hmm. They also got nomadic tents that they carried around with them that wasn't so big. Mm-hmm. And those are the ones that they said was our teepees. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And it was only for traveling, right? For these people that traveled when they were traveling, mm-hmm. going to battle people.
Right. Because all of the Huns The Huns and the Mongols were nomads. They was always on the go. They didn't set up farming camps.
They call it a jir, also called Yura, is a Mongoloid yurk. Is a Mongoloid tent home. Imagine living in a home that looked like a piece of candy, a Hershey's Kiss, but it's 9 feet height, 15 feet round. Actually, a jir might look rather odd, but they were very comfortable. So it's the Mongoloid. Let me blow it.
So they can fold their house up and go leave at any given time. All right, let's get back to the business at hand. We can go back to that later on. We're gonna pull up a TP from over there, in Asian TP.
Okay.
All right, so the Dawes Commission set up tents in Indian territory. Right, this is somebody named Bill Welch, Director Emeritus of the Oklahoma Historical Society Office of American Indian Culture and Preservation.
Damn, hold up. I don't want to freeze up while you're doing it. Hold up. There you go. My bad. There you go.
Okay. It's their field clerks scoured written records. Scroll down. Okay. Took oral testimony. Remember, we do everything orally anyway.
Yeah.
And generated enrollment cards for individuals determined to have Indian blood. Now, remember, they didn't have blood tests back then.
Yeah.
How the fuck they know who got Indian blood?
Right.
You gotta keep that in mind because they make it sound like they could just run a blood test like they can now, pull your DNA and say, oh, you Chickasaw, you Choctaw, you Cherokee, you Ojibwe, right? They couldn't do that back then. So look what they're doing. They took oral testimony and scoured written record.
Yeah.
Right? All right, now, that's good. That included authentic Indians. How do they know they're authentic?
They're right. Yeah.
They declaring them authentic under the Dawes Roll.
Mm-hmm.
But it also included lots of people with questionable heritage.
Mm-hmm.
And you see it, and they already know this shit that I'm telling y'all. So it's not a secret. Commissioners took advantage of their positions and enrolled people who had very minimal or questionable connections to the tribes. They were not adverse to taking money under the table. What you say?
What you say?
What you say? They can't be doing that. Look at this eight. Index to final roles of citizens and freed men of the 5 civilized tribes in Indian territory, prepared by the Commission and Commissioner. Biggie Smalls, the Commission. American Indian Removal Policy and the Trail of Tears. Now we're getting good. Andrew Jackson policy led to a shameful episode in U.S. history. And this is who we talking about.
The nigga on a $20 bill. That's why I don't like 20s, man. That's why I don't like 20s right there. I don't like 20s.
Well, I spend the shit out the motherfuckers. I don't plan on putting none of them in no frame, no way.
Right.
All right, now look. The American Indian Removal Policy of President Andrew Jackson was prompted by the desire of so-called white settlers in the South to expand into lands belonging to the 5 indigenous tribes. After Jackson succeeded in pushing the Indian Removal Act through Congress in 1830, the U.S. government spent nearly 30 years forcing indigenous people to move westward beyond the Mississippi River. This is the Trail of Tears.
Exactly. That's what we're talking about.
But that's going to come back up because that's part of the biblical contract.
Mm-hmm.
In the most notorious example of this policy, more than 15,000 members of the Cherokee tribes were forced to walk from their homes in southern states to a designated territory in present-day Oklahoma in 1838. Now, this is before the Dawes Roll.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Damn.
Many died along the way. The forced relocation became known as the Trail of Tears because of the great hardship faced by Cherokees. In brutal conditions, nearly 4,000 Cherokee died on the Trail of Tears.
Mm-hmm.
Go back up and look how long this took place. Look how long this was going on. Go back up.
Go back right here.
Right there. They spent nearly 30 years forcing indigenous people to move westward beyond the Mississippi.
Man.
Right? Now, where do this happen? Somewhere in the Bible. Don't this happen somewhere in the Bible? Somebody was traveling around for 30, 40 years because they ain't had no homeland.
The Israelites.
Where was they coming from?
They were coming from ancient Kemet.
Mm-hmm. Who was they following?
Who they followed? Moses.
Okay, and Elijah Muhammad said Moses did what?
Go ahead. I can't remember.
Elijah Muhammad said Moses was the one that was sent to civilize the so-called pale man.
Yeah, okay, yeah, to put the boat. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, I'm with you.
Remember, he said Moses had to sleep in the ring of fire because they were so savage they might eat him in his sleep.
Right. Go ahead. That's right.
Right? Yeah. Now, in here is 30 years. The biblical stories say 40 years.
Okay.
So it's a 40-year sojourn.
Okay.
Right? So this 30 years take us to 1860. 40 years take us to 1870. About 12 years before the Dawes Roll Act.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So from 1830 to the Dawes Roll, okay, go over to Google and pull Dawes Roll up again. We got to get the exact year again.
I got you. We hitting it. Man, this shit's sticky. Man, bro.
What you pulling up? I can't see that.
I'm pulling up the Dawes Roll, but it like my shit was sticking. Don't let me type in. There you go, right here. It's the year is 1898. Hold up. Hold on, let me go back. Let me go back. Just find out. Okay. The Dawes Roll, also known as the Final Roll, are listed individuals who accepted eligible tribe membership in the 5 indigenous tribes: Cherokee, Creek, Choctaw, Chickasaw, and Seminole. It does not include those whose application was stricken, rejected, or judged to be doubtful. Probably some dark-skinned people, right? Real Indians tried to find, they got shot down, right? Those found eligible for the Final Roll were entitled to we just had read that, right? Allotments of land, usually as a homestead.
Mm-hmm.
The roll contained more than 101,000 names from 1898 to 1914, primarily from 1890.
Okay, we just looking for the year right now, Elder, the year that it was passed again. So you go back to the main page, the year shouldn't be hard to find. It should be right there.
Okay, right here. Okay, I got it. Hold up. I got you. It's the year is 1893.
Okay, so from 1830 to 1893, that's further than 40 years of sojourn waiting to have a reservation.
Yeah.
Right, actually 63 years, ain't
it? Yeah, it says from 1893 all the way up into it's a long time. Hold up.
I thought it was first passed in the 1880s.
Hold up, let me make sure this right here is right. It says right here 1893. So hold up. What year? Okay. 1887 is the date.
Okay. Now that's more closer to the date I was thinking.
All right. The 1880.
So that's 47 years still though. That's the 40-year sojourn of the so-called Israelites.
Yeah.
Now this is now remember, while this is going on, the Indian Removal Act, right? They marching across the land, but they're supposed to be coming from the South.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that know basic American history know that the South was about 90% melanated us.
Mm-hmm.
So where did these pale people come from in the South?
Exactly.
They couldn't have been there. So we gonna go to where they come from in the next one. We just reviewing Dawes Roll now, right? So scroll down. Let's read some more. There had been conflicts between whites and indigenous people since the first so-called white settlers arrived in North America, but in the early 1800s, the issue had come down to the so-called white settlers encroaching on the indigenous lands in the southern United States. Now, here go the problem. Go back to Martin Luther King, talking about the mechanizing of the farms. Right? Now, he's telling you what was going on during this period right here. This is the period of time he's talking about when they began to mechanize the farms, and they hired us to teach the so-called settlers how to farm the land. All of the indigenous people know that we had to teach the people that came to the land how to farm because none of them knew how to work the unique land that was over here better than we did. Right? Now, 5 indigenous tribes were located on land. Notice they specify on land that would be highly sought for settlement. Especially as was prime land for the cultivation of cotton. The tribes on the land were the Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, and Seminole. Right? Over time, the tribes in the South tended to adopt the so-called white ways, such as taking up farming in the tradition of white settlers, which they didn't. We taught them how to farm. This is a known historical fact that all of us know without even asking who taught the so-called pale people how to farm. Remember the Mayflower came, they was dying of starvation because they didn't know how to cultivate food.
That's right.
Right. So in some cases, even buying and owning enslaved black people. They got to throw that in there, right?
They had to put that out for now.
I like that right there.
15.
Okay. In fact, settlers hungry for land were actually dismayed to see these tribes, contrary to all the grotesque propaganda about them being savages, adopted the farming practices of white Americans.
Yeah,
this don't even make sense. This is not even possible.
Yeah, right.
Right? But this is the story, the narrative they're giving us. So we're going to work with it. The accelerated desire to relocate indigenous people to the West was a consequence of the election of Andrew Jackson in 1828. Jackson had a long, complicated history with indigenous tribes, having grown up in frontier settlements where stories of attacks by them were common. Right? Now, before we go any further, so the question on Haile Selassie and the relation to Enlil. Right? Now, remember Baba did that scroll called Is Haile Selassie the Christ?
Yeah.
And you remember he went through his whole genealogy in here. He went back like a long way back.
Yeah.
Right? So why did Pops do that?
Go ahead.
You got to know Haile Selassie.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
If he want us, the children of Enlil.
Yeah.
Right? They looking for a homeland on earth. We ain't giving them shit. But now I'm finna touch on the Empire State. Empire State. They had a movie called King Kong. In the movie King Kong ends up taking this white lady to the top of the Empire State Building. What is the Empire, and why is New York the Empire State? Well, you will never know why New York is the Empire State unless you know where Old York is. Old York is called Yorkshire, England. Now, that's ran by a royal family. Look at the family crest, and for some strange reason, you got people that look like us on there. Think about that while I take this sip. On the crest for the European royal families, they look like us. But they ain't us. Because if they was us, we would have knew. You see? Because we would have had a historical record of it being us. That ain't us. That's some imposters. So what did they do? Now I told y'all they used the European, the minority group, to attack the larger groups, to perpetuate the divide and conquer. So as soon as we figure it out, we can go haywire and start killing white people. And the race war is the illusion. The race war that they want to start is the illusion. That's the way for them to get us fighting each other so they can get right back in power and sit behind the scenes. Now you got to remember, we are in what they call the Kali Yuga state. We're coming out of that now. That's what you call the phase of the hidden gods. These watered down fake gods went to South Africa so that they could try to make it look like a slave trade. There was never a slave trade. It's what you're not understanding. We invited those pale-skinned Europeans over here to get a drop of blood so that they can earn the right to ascend through the great melding pot process, the same as we did for China, Japan, and various other parts of the world when they did it to them. So now here we go again. They want to try to pit us against the European under the false pretenses of police shooting us in the back, killing these kids. And they actually killing people that's unawares of who and what they are. Only certain people are allowed to kill certain people. Because y'all don't understand that, because that's a higher law. In the lower realms, when your vibration is low and you are in a slumber state, you can't quite see everything clearly. And so you start to become confused, and then they have turn you on your own because they can't just kill us like that. If we stop killing each other, they in trouble. If we stop killing each other in the streets, they in trouble. So what do? A dog in every fight, right? They tried to make us turn on each other by promoting gang life. When did they do it? And how did they get the message to us? Well, it started with with entertainment. If you go back, you have always had people that click together for survival purposes in small groups. And the small groups normally didn't prey on each other and they didn't conflict. Normally when they encountered each other, it was a mutual respect between these groups that they end up calling them gangs. When you do your research on the history of the gang, they end up taking you back to the Empire State and starving children in the boroughs. These starving children in the boroughs was joining together to go and steal food from merchants that was on the in the Manhattan area, where all of the money was being coagulated. They was condensing the money to build what they call Manhattan, which is the Diamond Coast and all that in New York, where all of the money is concentrated at to this day. Wall Street, all that. As they were doing this, they think that we wasn't going to figure it out. You got to be out your mind. And so in the Empire State, King Kong climbs the Empire State Building and they shoots him down and kills him. Okay. I understand your point that you're trying to make. And we ain't falling for it. King Kong ain't gonna fall. Y'all got down when he was asleep. You see. Y'all got down when the King of the Congo was asleep. Now he beating on his chest, swinging from these lampposts, pounding this concrete, and all of these motherfucking baby gorillas is around this motherfucker lining up. This 100 monkey effect taking full flight. You can't stop it. It's an unstoppable move. We know who you are. We know what you did. You can put your motherfucking shit down, pack your bags, and get ready to go, because you're not staying here. I don't know where you're going, but you will not stay here. If you stay here, we will send you somewhere else. Now, dog in every fight. Our black Peace Stone Rangers or our Black Power Stones. Yeah, look at your Power Rangers. We got signals in all forms of entertainment where we alert each other. Every form of mysticism, good and bad, we got somebody there. I'm going to give you an example. Because I'm a bad boy with this shit. You dig? I'm a bad boy. And I ride rough on these motherfuckers. They don't see it coming. So, everybody think that I don't see what I see. Just because I don't speak on it. Big J dropped some jewels. And I picked every one of them up. Because you can't know what's going on unless you know what's going on. Understand me? Understand? You can't know what's going on unless you know what's going on. So, before I rain this purple shit on their ass, before I give them a thriller, I'm going to continue dropping little pieces in here for the brethren so that they'll know I'm ready for the move. I'm about to journey home. I think I hear somebody calling me in the distance. I'm just east to where she at, and she in the west, or just west of where I'm at. I'm sitting here in the right hand of Mother Earth. The right hand, only one place on earth where you gonna find a right hand glove, a mitten, the motherfucking murder mitten. Now, if the Jewish symbol is a black fist and they don't like black people, why we ain't paying that attention? Let's look at something else. La Cosa Nostra, also known as the Black Hand, was set at Sicily. But the La Cosa Nostra was a different hand. Actually, it was a foot. They was under the heel. They were Sicilians. Well, how did they get to Sicily? When Hannibal made his conquest, they rounded up all of his offspring because he was trying to spread that drop of blood in the process of making his overthrow of Rome. And they took all of the children to try to stop the drop of blood because they didn't want them to ever have a right to ascend and to come back and aid in the struggle for the liberation of planet Earth. So they rounded them all up and they put them on the island of Sicily to sequester them. Ain't that right, Uncle Dago? Ain't that how it go? And so when they put them all on the island of Sicily, they figured they had them quarantined sufficiently enough that we wouldn't never be able to communicate. They got to be crazy. So we set something up over there. You call it the Day El Mafioso. We call it La Cosa Nostra, like them blackface Sicilians. I see that leader over there, but that leader ain't a real one. So, I was going to do some poetry, and I was listening to this beautiful poem about how these women be abused by these wicked motherfuckers going upside their head and shit. And it gave me a flashback of a time, in another lifetime, when they wanted to remove a woman from her rightful position. They want to remove her from her rightful position so they can undermine her. Yakub, supplanters, underminers. We know y'all are. All of the imposters has been revealed. The signs of righteousness ain't for no games. You know? So, Crowley had to tell you, do as thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. But he ain't telling it all to you. I ain't gonna get into that. I'm just using that for my brothers to know what moves to make next. Because they already know. But for those watching, y'all might be confused and think I'm babbling. I'm not babbling. Everything I'm dropping is for a purpose. We are past that now. Their reign is up. The contract expired. See, they had to contract us as servitude in a certain way. This is your 14th Amendment. Involuntary servitude is your 14th. Voluntary servitude, or what they call meritorious manumission, meaning of your own accord. You can roam about this land of your own accord, but you have to pay what they call taxes. And as long as you are in your 3/5 state, they can tax you up to 3/5 of your of who you are. Because under the ancient code of kings, you can't tax a god. They think we forgot. We ain't forget. And then look at it and say, in all natives, non-tax. Gotta pay that attention. All natives, non-taxed. But they're gonna make it a way where they can tax them later. See, that's where they messed up. They're breaking the contract by deception and think we're not gonna figure it out. And the laws say adhesion contracts are non-enforceable. Contracts by using duress is non-enforceable.
contracts by using deception is non-enforceable. So you got these people who are following the contract because they believe that the contract is an enforceable contract. The whole judicial system is predicated upon a false contract. That contract can't be enforced beyond this point. For one, the court contract expired. Look at your seals on your dollar, and you'll know who is behind it. And Enlil is the eagle. And the sons of righteousness is the pyramid. The contract is between the two. Right? Pay attention. I'm not going to go too deep into it right now. I'm going to come back to it later. I'm not going to leave y'all hanging, though, because I got to get y'all other people to give y'all information to clarify what I'm saying. And then now in this one, it should sound like I'm slightly cutting short on information. That's because I'm activating each one of the ones who hold a piece to the puzzle to do their part. Because we all got to do our part, and we all got to work together. Don't send your kids out there to fight for these animals. Don't let them deceive you. I'm going to post a Dane Calloway video on my page. I want y'all to check it out. And a couple more videos I'm going to post. I want y'all to check them out. I ain't going to hold this one real long because we got brothers waiting on me to shut up so they can do their part. And now that I done did this, and the Prime has spoke, and they all know what moves to make next. All those, surf YouTube, see what you can find. Yeah, Juanita, he the truth. He the truth. I like to call him the great Dane Calloway, because I like dogs, One of these days I'm gonna roll up with about 60 dogs. Motherfucker gonna be fucked up. I like dogs. Bow wow wow, yippee yo, yippee yay. And the last person I want to address is this rotten ass king that's been trying to steal all of the money from my sons as combat warriors for many years. He ain't in the game no more because he knew I was here and he got scared and ran. You can pick your hair up like a crown. You owe my son money. Don motherfucking King. Babylon the Great falling and you gonna announce it. Then what you gonna do? You gonna make sure that Mike Tyson is properly compensated for that theft. We ain't forgot about what you did, you rotten ass bastard. I'm coming for your